This is my guide to help you overcome codependency in your relationship and develop a form of interdependence, which is the ideal form of relationship. In this video, we're gonna describe the root cause of codependency, the different traits and the different differences between codependency and interdependence, and the practical ways for you to step away, break this dynamic for good. Jiggle.
igetmyexback.com. Everyone deserves a second chance.
But first of all, let's start with the fact that dependency is not bad on its own. So if you feel that you always create codependent relationship, it's important there's part of it that you should embrace in a way. It's very important. For instance, as a former avoidant, being depending on someone is very difficult. And this is not how you develop secure relationships. This is not how you develop interdependency. So it's very important, if you feel that you have this codependency element, that there's part of it that is healthy. And so there's this biological and emotional sort of attributes coming from the attachment theory. And so the problem with codependency is when the dependency, when we in a way don't respect our boundaries, and when we become overly enmeshed. So what is it? What is enmeshment? So enmeshment is when you're extremely close and dependent relationship, when you basically lack, as I discussed, personal boundaries. In a way, you lose your identity. You're not yourself anymore outside of the construct of the relationship. And it happens very frequently. And it's very important for you to assess whether you are a human being, an identity outside of this relationship. It's also characterized by the fact that we sacrifice things for others. We sacrifice our own needs for our partner. And there's also an intense reactivity to your partner's feelings, thoughts, and action. We're very much always scanning for threats, very much in tune with their emotion. If they're sad, we're even more sad than them. If they're happy, we're even more excited. Always, again, the idea of identity, the idea of oneself, is kind of blurred. You're part of an entity, and that's who you are. That's your new definition in a way. Also, what's characterized in enmeshment is that you're over-involved in your partner's life. You're kind of nosy. You want to know what they are doing. You want to know where they're going, because if they're away from you, it's very hard to let go. And so this is why you want this element of control on your partner. You want to know what they're doing. You want to know who they're seeing, and in a way, be part of it. So, being on the phone with them when they're traveling, when they're driving, because you want to be next to them, with them every single time. Being secure, and that's what we want to do, and that's what I want you to learn today in this video, is finding the right balance. The healthy patterns where you rely on each other. As I said, relying on someone, depending on someone, is not bad in itself. Emotional support, being caring, it is positive. Don't get me wrong. So don't feel like, I'm too nice, I should be more, I should be mean, I should be sort of nasty with people. No, that's not the point. It's understanding your limit, understanding that you're nice, you're kind, you're involved up to a certain point. And so what you have to learn, what you have to develop is that sense of identity and autonomy. And it's something that I help my clients with after a breakup or when they have these codependency relationships, is how you can develop this sense of autonomy. You can both express your own needs and respect their needs. Okay? Very often we feel like, but if I express my needs, you don't want to say things, the people pleaser. You don't want to say this because you're upset. You're scared that they're going to be upset about their response. And so if you want to have a healthy, secure relationship, it's important to express your needs, respect their needs for space, for autonomy, for independence, and learn how to be more independent. It's the only way to build a successful and healthy relationship. And in a way, you'll gain trust, you'll gain connection if you learn to do that with your partner. So the problem is that when caring is too much, and you sort of are in that mindset of I'm the caregiver, I'm the rescuer, I'm the fixer. That's my mission. As part of being a partner with this person, I'm going to replace the role of a mom in a way. That's my mission. That's the only thing that matters in life. And therefore, what about yourself? What about your identity? What about your needs? Who's here to rescue you? You have to understand that relationship, you're in a way equal, right? He or she supports you, you support them. It goes in both directions. The problem is that when we lose our identity as part of the relationship, and we are sort of really involved in their life, our partner is really involved in their life, it's not about being secretive, it's not about hiding things from a partner, but it's about developing a sense of autonomy, a sense of I make my own decisions based on my needs. And also recognize, and that's the difficulty with relationship, is that we sometimes have different needs. So it's about finding the place, finding the dynamic that would work for both of you. Because I think what you have also to understand, there's this myth that if I want to make it work in this relationship, I should adjust myself to my partner, right, by default. And therefore, it's going to work out because it's going to be based on their needs, based on their agenda, right? On paper, it works, right? If you switch to being your partner, you equal. The problem is that you're fundamentally different than your partner. And in a way, developing the sense of autonomy will also create for your partner a sense of relief, because otherwise what happens is if you completely match yourself, if you're a copycat of your partner, let's assume that you're a copycat of your partner will feel overwhelmed by this. He doesn't want to date himself. She doesn't want to date herself. You know, we date people who are different, who bring something different to the table. So it's important to acknowledge this. And so the impact is that we feel responsible for our partner's emotions, their decisions, their behavior. Again, we feel like their mom, we feel like their dad. And that leads to being overwhelmed, anxious, burned out. It's too much to deal with. It's very important to understand my space, the relationship, my social circle. Very often people like everything is together. It shouldn't be. It's very important to nurture your me time and in a way look at your agenda, and there's work, there's like me time, there's couple time, there's family time, there's friends time, etc. So where does it come from? There's books, a lot of studies on the subject, and by the way, I will put together a complete guide to help you if you want to learn more about this and get some additional tools and insights. Have a look in the description, I forgot to mention that. So where does it come from? So obviously family dynamic, it's very frequent for people who parents were ill or addicted, so usually kids of alcoholic parents develop this element of codependency because they feel that they need to save their parents, they need to be the responsible person in the family. If I just pick one example. So also parents who are unavailable emotionally, who also act like kids. They seek approval, they seek validation. There's an element as well of the lack of role models. So again, not knowing what it means to have boundaries, so parents who act as friends, we're all teenagers, and so it's very difficult to build the identity in that context if you're a teenager, if you're a child. And the low self-esteem if you have parents, but the idea, sorry, that's not from childhood, that's the idea of perhaps difficult when you were bullied, when you had difficult childhood, or when you were a teenager, the idea that I can't assert myself, I'm not good enough, I can't really affirm myself in the context of a group, and therefore I will try to blend at all costs. Quick table, and again that will be on the guide, so I don't want to spend too much time reading a table that you can download. It's for free, by the way, the guide. So dependency is relying on others. Interdependency is mutual reliance. You can rely, but you rely mutually. The interesting part that I want to show is that obviously it's not sustainable, there's an emotional impact, different outcomes, but also understand that it depends on the context. So when you have a baby, that baby is overly dependent on you. They can't feed themselves, they can't get changed, they can't, So they are overly dependent on you. And so in a way, it's important to use this, to understand this image as like, you're not a baby, your partner is not a baby, right? Another element where being completely codependent is in crisis situations. In the army, you overly rely on your boss. You have no decision to make. You just listen to your boss, you just listen to your lieutenant or whatever. Again, this is not how a relationship should be with someone you love. It's about collaboration, it's about finding, brainstorming ideas, looking in the same direction, being equal. So it's community, ecosystem, global relations, for instance, if we look at other sort of dynamic, other institutions where interdependency is more efficient. So again, this table is on the document, so you can pause the video or download the document. It's totally free. I'm doing this, I want to do more of those guides because I'm conscious that there's a lot of content, there's a lot of words on my slides, and I want you to take this knowledge and try to apply it, try to learn from it. 6 steps, and again, this will be detailed in the guide, to overcome codependency. So understand what is codependency. So I briefly described that, but again, there's also a few books that are really good on codependency. Boundaries, creating boundaries, setting boundaries. On its own could be like a coaching program, could be in a way a therapeutical program to help you really assert yourself, to help you. We all know what are our boundaries, but it's about how you sort of stay and follow through. Very often, when people try to get back with the ex, for example, they say, I don't want to end up in the same situation. I don't want to be in a relationship where he just wants to see me once a month. Then you get back together, and again, they want to see you once a month, and you forget that, hold on, you put yourself a rule, you put yourself a boundary that this is not what I want. So it's very important. More important than knowing what you want, it's very important to understand what you don't want. Developing your own sense of self. So again, accepting that you're independent, smart, you can make decisions on yourself, etc. Focusing on personal growth. So it's the idea of, okay, I know I need to work on things. And when I'm using my coaching hat, it's about how we create progress, how we sort of celebrate small wins, but being aware of, okay, this is my plan, and I track this plan, and I celebrate small wins, and every now and then I look back at the progress that I've made. There's an element as well, and Elizabeth, my business partner, is amazing at doing that with the CBT and DBT technique on how to challenge negative thoughts, because it's very easy to default to our ways of thinking from our insecurities. And as I said, celebrate progress and not perfection, because very often what lies behind this element of codependency is that a very, very difficult view of yourself. You have parents who are extremely demanding, for instance, and it's very hard for you to accept your imperfections. And so you want to blend it, you want to be part of a group, be part of a relationship, and lose your identity because you feel, I don't want people to know who I am really, right? I don't want people to know my imperfections, my insecurities, my fears. Well, progress is way more important than perfection. And this is how you will reach this interdependency. If you have any other questions or want to share your story, let us know in the comment section. I will see you next time. Bye-bye.